Understood.
So,
I have no idea how similar or different it is in the way they do things. I'm sure they do great, but we don't have any connections there anymore.
As far as August, you got there as low level, and you said you worked your way again. Cooks. You worked your way up to sous chef?
I begged for a job there.
Yeah.
I put a few resumes in, didn't hear anything, and just went there.
Yeah.
And one day and was like, knocked on the door and went in the kitchen and was like, who's the chef? I need to talk to him. And, because, like I said, I had that drive. I've been basically moving around the country at this point. And so from where I'm from, moving around the country, like I was doing, it was like I didn't give a shit. I was like, I want to work here. Like, you're not calling me back. Like, I got to at least do this.
It's the same thing in Puerto I'll go back to my family in Puerto Rico, and they'll be like, oh, you're fancy. Because you're fucking going everywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's just small town thinking. You know, they don't want to get out much. So, driving 20 minutes is like a lot. So I totally understand where you're coming from. Yeah. So let's talk about the Black Forest. Because what is that, first of all? I know what it is, but I don't know what it is. Like, I've never been there. I've never seen it. So,
very, very rural area in South Germany. Mm-hmm. When you're in it, like you look around, it looks like you're just surrounded like in the bottom of a dome of Christmas trees.
Yeah.
The chef we worked for, Carl Josef Fuchs, has had this place that his family's owned for I think near close to 100 years almost.
I think it's been a couple hundred years.
Couple hundred years. What's this place called?
Spielweg.
Okay. Still there today?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So now his daughters are taking over. It's very, very family oriented over there. You commit to what you want to do as a profession there around like the age of like 15 or so. Once you go to school to be something, that's what you do.
Yeah.
They don't really do the thing like we kind of do here sometimes, where you dabble around college and take breaks, Like, it's kind of what you decide to do at a very young age. You commit, and there's that system. So, and much to do with like how the family is. His dad ran it. He was a baker, and he took over, and he was a big hunter. So it was a very big like hunting, killing like deer, wild boar, things like that. A lot of the really fresh cooking, like the liver and the heart, like an hour later.
Did you have to stage there?
No, we got the job from John at August.
Okay.
So he worked there a long time ago.
Yeah.
So he had sent Mike there and some other people, and then it was kind of like a fraternity situation where the people that were kind of coming up at August would get the opportunity to go work at the Black Forest.
How did that relationship happen between the Black Forest and August?
Through John working there. To be honest, I have no idea how he actually came into contact with them.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of connections in Germany and France. I'm not quite sure how he came into that place, but that was always the thing. Like, when you got to August, there was a certain point where they let you know, like, you're being looked at to go to Europe. And then that was kind of like the gasoline of the fire. Of like, I got to, like, bust ass. I'm coming in on my days off. I'm working for free here and there.
Is it tasting menu?
No.
Or a la carte?
It was a la carte.
Got you.
And it was, but it was very much geared towards, like, wild game. Because there it's legal to serve what you shoot.
Got you.
So it was like this big thing for that. And I think it worked out well for them, for the labor force, because over there it's such a progression. Somebody starts when they're young at this restaurant, and they come up. But when they get to a certain experience, they leave. So basically, he was able to get this influx of talent from the U.S., people that were sous chefs at August or something like that would go there and then work for him for a year and a half, 2 years, but on the line. And then leave, and you get more people. So it was basically people that were coming in and willing to start at the bottom, but they had actually been sous chefs at a really good restaurant.
Gotcha.
So it was like great for them to learn something new, be humbled by starting at the bottom, but for him to basically get more or less commis that had been sous chefs and had a lot of experience.
That's dope. That says a lot about that man in that culture.
Oh, he was...
And the brigade system there is like true to the form. Like it's here too. But there, it's like, it's even like almost in a sense like who you are is like a person in the community. You know, like it's like it's not just at work. I mean, it's not like at this station. It's like I'm here on this level and then this level. You know, like it's almost like a respect thing. And accomplishment thing, and
that's very cool.
Yeah, those are his two. Yeah,
his two cookbooks up there. Yeah.
Okay,
but he was a Michelin star chef, or he might have even had 2 stars at one point. But he gave up the Michelin star to basically do wild game, make cheese. He made unpasteurized cheese, a lot.
We go up to the top of the mountain at 5 a.m. and get the old school big aluminum milk tins or stainless steel milk tins, and haul them down in this big Range Rover, old school tank looking Range Rover situation. And it's you had to wake up. Our housing was above the kitchen, so it was hey,
there was no escape.
Cheese day.
Yeah,
it's
come downstairs and then knocking on your door type shit.
Yeah. Like you don't even know it's cheese day.
Well, no, you do, but I mean, it's hey, if you hung out drinking a little bit the night before, and you're sleeping in. It's nope, you're not sleeping in.
Exactly.
We're knocking on the door.
That's dope. I love that.
I mean, it was a thing. I mean, it was a lifestyle. I mean, we had a lot of off time, but when it was work time, it was work time, and it was a transition. I mean, getting there, going from being here to kind of a super rural. I mean, the closest gas station was even maybe 20 minutes away.
Gotcha.
The college town was an hour away.
No cell phone service.
Yeah.
So you just relinquished all that. It took
time.
I broke up with a girlfriend to go do it. I sold my car. I had at the time my dream car. As soon as I found out I was going to Germany, I was sell the car.
Yeah.
Give up everything. I just didn't give a shit. It was I'm going for this. Everything took. Got there. And I, luckily for me, I had him and a friend of our, Drake Leonard's, that went before, so I was able to kind of
get the lay of the land
get a little bit. You know what I mean? But even as much as I got, it didn't prepare me for the emotional dip in the first few months. But once I kind of made it through that hump, then it just went great, and I didn't even want to leave. It just you literally at that point you have, I think it's 40 hours of vacation time, whereas and only what is it? So I think it's 40 hours of vacation time, and 2 of those days a week are still considered off days. So it's if you take 10 days of vacation, you actually only lose 6 days.
40 days of vacation.
Or whatever it is. 40 days, not 40 hours.
I got you.
Okay.
So it was you had a lot of time. So when it's time to travel, it's you save up your money. And we live there. I mean, we get paid. We have no room and board. I mean, or maybe they take a little bit out of the check, but it doesn't really matter. It's you don't notice it. It's not much. You eat for free. You drink for free. You do whatever you want there for free. They really take good care of you, and you have a lot of off time. And so then you're just traveling to France, you're traveling to San Sebastian, to Barcelona, to England, all over Germany, for a year and a half. As much as you want, and you have all the money to spend, because when I went there, I had $12,000 saved. And then I still got paid and had no bills because I sold my car and everything. So I literally spent every dime that I made there. I spent traveling and eating. And it was just, it definitely changed my life at that point in time, and made me get aware of the Michelin standard, the quality of food that Michelin is from 1 to 3 stars. You see all the ones that you're you get to a point where you're the first Michelin meal you have, you think it's the best ever, and then after you've had 20 of them, you start judging. You're that 2 wasn't quite 2.
Exactly.
Exactly. Are they giving them a little pass because they're a little bit more invested?
Yeah.
Or what? But
they got a nicer dining room.
But
something like that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Like that.
All right. Well, I think at the Black Forest is a great segue into Chef Trey. So here we go. Chef, where were you born?
I was born in Port Arthur, Texas.
Okay, Port Arthur, Texas. In terms of northwest, east, south, where are we at?
So, I was born in Port Arthur, but I went home to a town called Orange, Texas, which is literally right on the border of Texas and Louisiana.
Okay, understood. Okay, so a little bit closer to where we are now.
Exactly.
Got you. And then sort of what was growing up like? Mom and dad, what did they do?
So my mother was a dental hygienist, and my father was an engineer. And my father's career kind of took off, so we moved every 2 years.
Okay.
For darn near every 2 years growing up. So we lived, I mean, I don't know the count now, but I think now currently my parents have lived in like 19 homes or something crazy.
What was he engineering?
So, well, he was actually making paper. So, like, he started out as an engineer working at a paper factory, and then ultimately was the manager of these factories, and then paper companies would expand, and he would be part of that, and just ended up being, every move we had, for the most part, was a good financial incentive for the family, and we just moved a lot.
Hell yeah.
So
your mom, what did she do?
So, when I was very young, I'm pretty sure my mom quite possibly made more than my father at the youngest stage that I remember her working. Because it was you start not making much as an engineer at that time. But then over time, as his career did well, I definitely remember the point where my mom stopped working and was spending time at home. I say that. She never really stopped working. She actually got really into carpentry. Okay. So what would happen...
Dope.
What would happen is they would buy a home. They got pretty good at figuring out what homes were good buys, looking for the right neighborhood and things like that. And then they would find houses that needed a lot of renovations, and my mom would do all the renovations herself. And then when they would sell it, 2 or 3 years later, they would make good money off of it.
Badass, dude.
And she even, one of the homes she essentially built herself.
DIY to a whole new level.
Yeah, she actually helped us a lot here.
Yeah, okay.
Well, both of them did. When we did the construction here, my father helped with a lot of helping us make sure we didn't kill ourselves, changing light fixtures and doing some plumbing and electrical work. But my mom came and was, patching ceilings and helping. She's pretty incredible with that stuff.
That's fucking so cool.
It was cool.
Damn.
It was cool.
Siblings-wise?
2 younger sisters.
Okay, got you.
2 younger sisters.
So a lot of responsibility there.
Yeah. We're all 3 years apart. Yeah. So, but it is interesting. It's like my middle sister understands the journey that the family had in terms of, it's like when I was born, we were in always clean, well-kept homes, but it was nothing fancy. And then by the time I was in high school, my parents were doing pretty well. So I remember just seeing, I remember being young, and it was like a big deal when we would go out to eat. And then as I got older, it was a little bit more, whatever we want to do. I don't mean whatever we want to do, but I just mean it was definitely, there were more options, as we got older. But it was kind of cool to see that, because you get to see like the drive and hard work. Mm-hmm. Like I remember seeing my parents become like more comfortable, but they both were working like a lot. Yeah. So you got to see how that like paid off, over time.
I feel like that's just what you did back in the day. You just worked.
Sure.
There wasn't no mental health breaks, or you know what I mean? It was just like go, go, go.
My dad, I remember my dad would go to work at like 6 a.m. every day, and he wouldn't get home until 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then my mom would be doing all the things around the house and running the household. But then if it was a house we were renovating, it's like after we go to bed, she'd be painting until like 3 a.m. trying to get stuff done. So they both like worked very hard.
Awesome. What were your interests growing up?
A lot of sports, both watching sports and playing sports. Yeah. But, as I got older, I was really lucky because my dad's job went pretty well. So, like, we lived in Green Bay area in Wisconsin.
Dope.
And it was like the 2 years that Brett Favre brought him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
My dad had season tickets for work.
Yeah.
So I got to go to, like, all these games.
Oh, and go to, historic games.
Dude, got to go to home playoff games and stuff. So it's like definitely... And I remember going to games when I was very young because they would try to like expose us to that, but it was definitely not like season tickets at Lambeau, and as I got a little older, we started having things like that. Or my dad's a really big he's a really big racing fan of all,
like NASCAR or Formula One or everything.
So more so NASCAR now, but he's being an engineer, and like he always says it would have been his dream to like work for like Roush Racing or something like that, where you work on the cars. But he's really into, F1 and all these things, but I think NASCAR ends up being the one that he's followed the most, only because you have so much more access to go to the races, and it also had its kind of heyday. But he built a paper mill that was across the street from Goodyear Tire's biggest mill.
Oh, wow.
So he got to kind of, I don't know if he got connections with them through that in the community or whatever, but he's been to so many races. I've